Good. 1, 2. Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our township meeting. In attendance tonight, we have down at the far end over there is our township manager, Nick Graziano. We have Supervisor Albert, Supervisor Ekman, Supervisor Friedman. I am Supervisor Birmingham, and we have one open supervisor seat. Township solicitor, that's Ron. Our engineer is Justin, and Cindy, our township secretary. And doing the live feed for us and sound is Stavros. So thank you for attending, everyone. Have all the supervisors seen tonight's agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
Do we have a second? Second. Thanks. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, agenda's approved 5-0. What's that? I'm sorry, 4-0. We have two public comment areas. The first public comment under number 3. If anyone needs an agenda, the agenda is up front here on the podium. The first public comment under number 3 are comments in regards to any action items on the agenda tonight. So anything we're going to vote on tonight. The public comment under part 9, you can make a public comment about anything. Okay? So that being said, for number 3, does anybody want to make a public comment about any items on tonight's agenda? I don't see any. Okay, moving on. Announcements. So first announcement I wanted to talk about with the supervisors is thinking about scheduling a neighborhood communities special meeting, and this would be a special meeting that we would hold, hopefully right here, and we would invite our neighbors such as Portland, Lower Mount Bethel, Knowlton, New Jersey, and just invite them and have us listen to them, what their concerns, or maybe their wants for the development. In the past, we have not reached out to them, or haven't reached out to them, I believe, in a town meeting. So I would like to do that and make it a special meeting and just invite council, the mayors, and just get their thoughts. So wanted to see what you guys thought about that, or if you have any concerns.
No, I thought it'd be a great idea. Maybe we can reach out to get a date where everybody can attend, because that could be problematic.
Yeah. So Cindy, I might work with you on that if that's okay. Thanks. Anybody else have any announcements?
I have a couple.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
All right, an announcement that at our next workshop meeting, representatives from the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission will be in attendance to give us an update on the planned Slate Belt Comprehensive Plan. And I have a note from my boss. The Pocono Wildlife Rehabilitation Center is going to be in the Johnsonville Farm and Garden Store this Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. They will be bringing some amazing animals for everyone to meet and learn about. Fun for the whole family. And you can look them up on Facebook if you need any more details. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks. And then another thing, in January, we'll schedule our office hours, but something to think about is, since only 2 of us can be at office hours, is whether we do something like Corey and I hold office hours, and then Jason and David hold office hours, and we kind of just mix it up. So let me know your thoughts about that or any concerns, but I think might be a great way to say, hey, office hours this month are with Corey and David, and then next month it'll be Jason and John, and we just kind of mix it up. So we're all getting out there.
That's fine.
Yeah, no, I'd be good with that.
Okay. So we'll all talk and decide who will do office hours for January. And that's it for me, announcements.
I have one item, Mr. Chair, with
Sure.
your permission.
Sure.
I just would like to personally thank publicly the Township Board of Supervisors and Supervisors Ekman and Albert in having me reappointed as the Township Solicitor. I'm fully aware that there is a choice in lawyers, just like there's a choice in doctors and architects and engineers, and I appreciate the support. As I've said before, I don't know if anyone meets with my qualifications in the sense of me being around for 48 years and now starting my 26th year as solicitor here in Upper Mount Bethel. So I appreciate that support. I look forward to working with the board. And as I've said before, I represent the board. So if this board goes in a different direction than the past boards, I must follow that direction. So that's all I need to say. Thank you again very much.
Thank you, Ron.
Mr. Chair, can I make a few comments about
Yeah,
for
of
this
course.
weekend? Thank you. First, I want to thank the firemen for, on short notice, letting us use the facility. I appreciate them making the accommodations. But I also want to thank the crew this weekend. They worked really hard to keep the roads in good shape. We had, a few hiccups, just that's normal for a storm, huge breakdowns and things like that, but we made it through it and made sure everyone was safe. And I know firemen were out there a lot this weekend helping people that some were injuries and some medical issues. But I also want to publicly thank Clark from Mount Bethel Auto. He came out early in the morning. We had 2 flat tires on one of our trucks, and he came out, and we really needed that vehicle. And he came out and got the tires mounted. And I just wanted to say, for the community, he did a great job, and I appreciate that. And I want to thank our chairman. Also, the guys want to thank him for providing food on Saturday for us. The hoagies went very well. There's none left. That's it.
And
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
thanks, Nick. And a big round, big hand for Nick Graziano. It was his first snowstorm. I know he was excited. He was looking for at least 10 inches. He said, if this is my first storm, make it a doozy. And Nick, you did a heck of a job. So good job, Nick.
Thank you.
Anything else, Nick?
No, that's it, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Okay, next up, we have approval of the meeting minutes for December 11th, 2023. We may have to table this. Can Corey and Jason approve these meeting minutes?
Yeah, I have always taken the position that just because a supervisor does not attend a meeting, it doesn't necessarily mean that supervisor can't approve minutes. If they've read the minutes and they believe that they are accurate, even though they may not have attended the meeting, that's the record is really those minutes, not so much what's said at a meeting. I believe they can vote, but if you're uncomfortable with that, then these will just hang out there, because even if you get a third supervisor, or I'm sorry, a fifth supervisor, that same will not apply. So I would think in this case, they can vote on these if they wish.
Okay, thanks,
If
Ron.
we don't vote on it, it'd be perpetually tabled.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So I make a motion, we approve the minutes for December 11th, 2023.
We have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 4-0. Next up, financials bill list. Nick?
Yes, Mr. Chair. In our general fund, we had $111.11. In the rec fund, we had $13.20. In the fire tax account, it was $1,741. The EIT open space fund, there was a payment of $4,202.50. Then the escrow accounts, RPL Planned Industrial Park West was $216.50. RPL West Lot 1, $175.50. RPL West Lot 2, $175.50. RPL West Lot 6, $175.50. For a total for the month, it was $191,810.81. Mr. Chair, I would ask for a motion to approve the list of for payment.
And are the escrow accounts all up to date?
As far as I know from today, yes, they are.
Okay, thanks. Any questions from the other supervisors?
No.
David?
No questions.
Okay, we need a motion to pay the bills.
No, I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of passing the bills, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Okay, moving on, number 7, action items. First up are the community park restrooms. And we'd just like to make it a priority. Nick, working with the Park and Rec Committee to get these restrooms up. The Post Foundation donated, I believe it was $100,000, and it's probably been like 3 or 4 years. I don't know, Nick, if you know when that check was donated.
I don't know the exact date, but it's been about 3 years.
Yeah.
Right, Stavros? Yeah, about 3 years.
So, Nick, I would like to have you make this a priority of yours to keep this moving forward this year.
Yep, we did start towards the end of the year, Stavros and I and the board. We spoke about it, and there's other grants, there's money that's coming in, and we're getting the ball rolling, but I'll stay on that, Mr. Chair.
So we need more than 100,000?
Oh, yeah.
How much do we need
I think it was 300,000?
for the restrooms?
More, 400?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when you want to get a grant today, everything is ADA compliant, and it ups the charge, ups the fees, and it's just the way that it is today with the grants, anything from the county to the state. So it upcharges everything. But we're aware of it, and we are getting some funding, but we're still working on it. The grants that are approved, I believe, Cindy, correct me if I'm right, I think we've got about another 100,000 in grants, but there's other funding out there that we're going to apply for.
Okay. So if we can make this something on our agenda, Cindy, just a regular update, even just put it on the agenda. If we don't have an update, we can skip it, but just so we keep it on our agenda to move forward. And whether it's grants or additional funding from outside sources, I really want to keep this moving and make some good progress this year. Any questions from the supervisors?
No.
Okay. Appointment of township supervisor. So David Dew, and I'm going to have you explain this, Ron. David Dew submitted his letter of resignation on November 15th of last year. The supervisors at that time voted against accepting the resignation of Supervisor Dew. So I'll let you go through the time period, Ron.
All right, thank you. Yes, so under the law, the township supervisors have the right to either accept the resignation or not accept the resignation. If the resignation is not accepted, that seat is not vacant. It continues to be in the name of the individual who has supposedly resigned, and of course he could always withdraw his resignation. Since he has not done that, and since the board has not accepted his resignation, then what occurs is that his resignation is deemed accepted 45 days after it has been submitted. In this case, the 45 days ran on December 31st, so the township is now in the 30-day window to appoint a supervisor. That supervisor has to be both a registered elector of the township and must have continuously resided in the township for 1 year. If for whatever reason the Township Board of Supervisors does not do that within that time frame, then the vacancy board, which is simply the township supervisors plus the chair of the vacancy board, I believe has 30 days to fill that spot. If that's still not done after that 30 days, then a petition can be filed in county court to have someone appointed. So right now, if we start the clock running on January 1, we have until January 30. When I say we, the supervisors have until January 30. And let me just check to see if that's a weekend or not. So January 30 is a Tuesday. So we have until then, the town board has until then to act upon a supervisor. There are no special rules as to who can be a supervisor. It does not have to be advertised, or it can be advertised. It doesn't have to be anyone with any prior experience, or it can be someone with prior experience. The only requirements that the code is or has is a registered elector and has continuously resided in the township for 1 year. So that's how it works.
Okay, so let's put it on our agenda for the 22nd to try and meet our goal of appointing a supervisor before January 30th. So Cindy, if you could put that on the agenda, please. Any thoughts, concerns? We have 2 letters of interest so far, and we have to interview both those individuals. And when we come back on the 22nd, if anybody else is still interested, you can submit a letter of interest. We will start scheduling interviews, and the way we were going to do it is have 2 of us interview these individuals at once. So like Corey and David, Jason and myself will interview these individuals. But if anyone else is interested, just submit a letter to Cindy Beck, our township secretary.
You may want to put it on the township website. That's up to you as to whether to get more notification out to the public that the township is looking for a supervisor with those, again, qualifications. Must be a registered elector and the 1 year continuous reside.
Cindy, you can do that, please? Thanks. Okay. Any other thoughts on a supervisor or appointing or interviews?
No, just like you said, anybody interested, get your letter in.
Okay, thanks. Next up, we have seasonal road crew. Nick?
Yes, Mr. Chair. We spoke about this probably 3 times in public, and about hiring 2 more public workers for the highway department. We have 2 applications, and my feeling with Supervisor Friedman, they're very well qualified. They both have CDLs. One has a CDLA, one has a CDLB. They both have medical cards that are current. They both have experience with equipment, one with PennDOT, one went to school. They're local, they know the roads, they know the area. My recommendation was to hire them. So what we did was, since it is the winter time, and there's not a lot of work, only unfortunately when there's snow and bad weather. So we looked at the contract, and we already have our allotment of part-time, which is 2, because we only have 6. If you have 8 or more, we could have 3 per our contract. So we set up a meeting with the BA, a business agent, Supervisor Friedman and I, and the shop steward and the assistant shop steward with him the other day. And we discussed with him that what we wanted to do, we wanted to hire 2 more guys. We want to hire them seasonal to get them in here because we need help. As you know, I could see this weekend we needed help, a lot of help, and there would be a good asset to bring into the crew. So we discussed with the agent to see if we could tweak the contract before there is negotiations for their contract that's coming, starting in probably June. We're going to start negotiating. But we asked them, said that, listen, we're probably going to hire them part-time in the beginning, but we want to hire them full-time. That's what our intentions are. It's in the budget. It was approved by the board. So he agreed that we could add 2 more on as part-time, seasonal/seasonal, same thing, and bring them on board, and there wouldn't be a grievance or anything like that. So we just need to have Solicitor Karasak put an MOA together just to solidify it, just to put it in writing, and the specs. I'm going to get the specs from the BA and forward it to Mr. Karasak. So, but in my experience, like I said, everybody knows. I've been saying it. I've been in the business. I retired from the highway department, and I really feel that these 2 guys would be assets to this department. And if they're not, as part-time, then they can be released. But my opinion is I think they would be great assets. So their names, one is Todd Pinto, and the other one is Brock Pearson, both from the community. So I just want to present to the board to see if you have any questions. But we'd like to see if we could hire them seasonal.
Did you interview them, Nick?
Several times. I've spoken to them several times, looked at their credentials, and spoke with them on the phone. And Dave Friedman spoken to them. So that's my opinion. If you feel you guys want to interview them, that's fine. But in my experience, I think that they would be good assets to the community and to the highway department.
David, thoughts?
I'd like to set up an appointment with Nick, where we can sit down and personally talk to him and let him know, the situation and see if they want to get involved or not. But I think Nick and I should sit down and interview each one individually.
Okay.
Fine with me. Yeah. I mean, they both are well aware of the situation, how they're getting hired, pay scale, which is 2377. That's the rate that you agreed to last meeting. That's for seasonal. So they understand there's no benefits. You're not in the union. Completely transparent with them. And they asked some very good questions too, so I answered it. But I'm fine. Whatever the board wants to do, Supervisor Freeman wants to do it, I'm fine with that, and I'm sure they'll be okay with that also. Whatever the board wants to do, wherever they want to move.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine. I know the individuals, and they're both, hard workers, and Todd's the fire chief at North Bangor. So, David, you're the liaison to the road crew, so I'll leave it up to you, and then you and Nick come back with your recommendation. If your recommendation is now you want to bring them on, that's fine. If you want to interview them and bring it back on the 22nd, that's fine too.
I think we'll have that meeting with Lindsay and Nick and I, and we can kind of discuss when we should bring them on.
Okay.
And it should be noted that the business agent for the Teamsters was very supportive and helpful in getting this situation rectified so we can get these 2 guys on.
Is that Mark?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, he's a good guy. He's
Yep.
always been helpful. Okay, so you want me to put it on the agenda for the 22nd? Or do you-
Yeah, that should be early enough. I think it won't take long to interview. We'll
Yeah,
do it by then.
we just want to make sure that if we're bringing them on board or whatever we decide, we're in the middle of winter right now, so we should be prepared. So Cindy, if you could put it on for the 22nd, please? That would be great. Thank you. Nick, next up is highway equipment loader purchase.
Can I just make another comment, Mr. Chair, about the previous?
Yeah, sure.
I just like to, I don't know if it's possible, I don't know if our solicitor could jump in. If we do have another situation where we need help with the highway, if we get another 10 or 12-inch storm or something like that, would it be okay to bring them in to help out? I mean, we have their credentials. I can, get them on board and not, just hire them just for that occasion. I don't know if that's possible, Ron. I don't know if that's legal or.
Well-
but I just don't want to prolong it too long because the whole purpose is to help out seasonal, meaning winter time.
I understand that, and I don't believe it would be an issue, but I believe you're smart in checking with the union. That's the key. What I say isn't as important as what the union says. It's not my position to not make someone work or lose a job or not get a job. If the union says, as far as we're concerned, it's okay if you bring them on an emergency basis at these numbers, I would say do that. Now, could there be someone out there or some law out there of which I'm not aware that would say that might be an issue? So be it. We'll deal with it. If it's an emergency, that's what's more important, the residents of the township.
So if I'm hearing you clearly, that if we do have a storm, I could call them in.
But again, get the approval of the supervisors here at this table to make sure that they are giving you the approval to do
Okay.
that, because it's not my job to approve or disapprove.
Right, correct. Neither is it mine. I just want to make sure that,
Yeah,
just being clear.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we keep the two individuals on standby, and if there is an issue with the snow emergency, our township manager will use his best judgment whether to bring them on board as long as the union agrees. Did that motion make sense?
That does, Mr. Chair.
Thanks. Do we have a second or discussion?
I'll second that with discussion.
Okay.
We'll probably have to get personal information for workman's comp and everything else too. So
Yeah.
make sure that's done.
Yeah, that, you're right, Supervisor Freeman, that all has to be in place. Make sure the works, if they're coming, work comp's in place and all those other things, and insurance, so in case something happens and they get hurt, that we're not now hanging out there. So there has to be some groundwork laid now, if in fact that's going to happen, before the formal vote on the 22nd.
All right. So Nick can look into that then and get everything straightened, lined up, so we get all their vitals.
So we just need to get everything on board with Diane, with their information, and just to get them on board, and just call them in on an emergency basis until further notice,
Right.
until you guys make a decision?
Mhm.
Okay.
I just have a question, Dave. What, if they've already been interviewed,
They haven't been.
they haven't been? Well, Nick said they've been interviewed. Nick? Oh, okay.
He interviewed, but I'd like, as a road
All right, I was
liaison,
gonna say, I don't
I would
want
like
to
to
delay it any
interview him.
longer and go through all this if we can just get them in, but
Well, Nick has, I know both of them, but still, I'd still like to interview them. And we
I
can
don't
maybe
wanna
set that up this week.
prolong it if we don't have to.
No, I understand.
So the motion is basically our township manager has discretion to bring these two individuals on during a snow emergency. Then we'll do the final vote on the 22nd. The motion has been seconded. Any other discussion or concern? Okay, all the,
There's a question from
yeah,
Mr.
Marty.
Pinter.
Yeah, that's a good point as
They
well.
both have their CDLs, so it would be the,
Yeah, the rate is $23.77.
Oh, yeah, he said it. It was mentioned. It was 23, what is it, 23.77?
That's the rate that you agreed on in the previous
Yeah.
for seasonal.
Yeah,
Yeah, CDO.
yeah.
No, it's not a union rate. It was a rate that they agreed on. The union rate, if they get into the union, Marty, then they both, I spoke to both of them about the union rates.
You have to understand, you got seasonal, you got part-time, you got temporary, and all those fall into different classifications for different things. But like I said, the business agent for the Teamsters was all right with this, and like I said, we'll have to interview the two individuals and make sure they're all right with it, that they can be called in for emergency situations.
They're both in the audience, Mr. Chair, if you have a question for them, if you want.
And they won't be union yet, so.
Any questions, guys? Okay. Okay. Any other comments
All right.
or discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0. Okay, Nick, highway equipment loader purchase.
Yes, Mr. Chair. This was brought up a couple months ago, and I believe it was tabled. And then after discussion with Supervisor Freeman, we made a suggestion to the John Deere dealership and asked them if they could hold the price for the 2023 rate for the loader, and he agreed to get it into January at that same rate, because the price will go up $7,000 next month. So as everybody knows, we bought 6 trucks. They're paid for. We are keeping 5, as I suggested, and we're selling one of them that's coming probably, it was supposed to come in February, but it's actually going to be coming probably in March. So 5 of them will be upfitted. There's 4 tandems and 1 triaxle. 1 tandem will be sold. We're going to sell that one, and the price price that we paid for it 2 years ago is $181,000. If we get more, we get more. If we don't, that money will go back into the fund that we have, which is the capital reserve fund that was reserved for buying new equipment. That equipment fund has $253,000 and $266 left in the account. That fund needs to also upfit one of the 5th truck, which is $146,000. And I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers out, but I just want to get to where the price of the loader is. So in essence, $182,000 we put back into that account. So the upfit, I said, like for the tandem, is $146,000, which is the rear of the truck. That has to be upfitted. So that's going to come out of the fund, which will leave $107,000. We sell the other truck, that's $182,000. There'll be $289,000 back into the account. We have 3 tandems that we're going to be selling, and they're probably going to be around $40,000 each, but I'm using 30, saying 90, just to be on the conservative side. Who knows what the market is? We were surprised with the track loader that we got. We thought we were going to get $15,000. We ended up getting $23,000. So who knows what the market holds? So we would add that $90,000 back into the account. So it will give us $379,189. The new loader cost $274,900. Okay, so that'll leave us $104,000 left in that account. So we're not touching. I don't know if everybody knows. I mentioned it before. We do have a fund that gets fed by the tax break. It's 0.7 of a mil that gets funded every year, and I know Ed didn't touch it last year, and this year the only thing I'm going to use is $15,000 out of that to pay for a loader that we have right now. That thank God we did have this weekend, because we needed both loaders. Because I had to go get somebody out up on Laurel Hill that was stuck in a ditch, and we needed the loader down at the shop so we could load the trucks. So that's the reason why we need 2 loaders in situations like that. Otherwise, everybody would have been shut down to get our fellow employee out of the ditch on, up on Laurel Hill. So I suggested, over with Dave Freeman, Supervisor Freeman, that we get this purchase. It would take 5 months for this to be produced. And the other reason why we need this loader is this has a high reach. So we're getting new trucks and we're getting a triaxle, which is high reach. So meaning high reach just means that it's taller, so you can load trucks that are out on the road inside the yard we have a ramp, but there's no ramps out in the road out where if you're working out on the river road or anything like that. So the new vehicles are going to need that. They don't have a board on top of the dump body. It's steel, and you don't want to bang the loader on steel. It needs a high reach. The other loader that we have is 10 years old. It's got 4,500 hours on it. It's been in the salt shed, and salt and metal doesn't work. So it's getting old. It's getting, it doesn't have a lot of hours, but unfortunately it's tired. So to have 2 loaders, and now that we're going to produce, we're going to have 8 guys working, so now you can have 2 gangs. So you have four in each, so you can have 1 gang that's in the south end and 1 in the north end if there's a storm, and each can have a loader. So it's better for the community. So in the highway department, loaders and trucks, you got to have them. It's like having a hammer. You got to have them. And this weekend was the first snowstorm, and thank God that we had that other loader, which really came in use to help us with the salt. So this is my suggestion that we purchase this unit. The other account, the maintenance account, just keeps growing. And my idea is use grants and resales of our equipment to purchase new vehicles and replace the vehicles that we have. Not the maintenance, not the machinery fund. Just let that keep growing, because eventually you're going to have to replace this $1.9 million that we spent on these tandems in 10, 15, 20 years, and that's not going to be. It's going to be 2.5 million, maybe 3 million. Who knows? So we're in good shape on the equipment side if we keep going in the process that we go. Just reinvest it into the highway department and keep everybody safe. That's my spiel, Mr. Chair. So if there's any questions.
So we have 1 loader right now.
We own 1 loader. We rented 1 loader for the season because the department that I worked at, we had 6 loaders, but you can't compare. I work for a county, we're a town, but we're 44 square miles, and we're 200 lane miles. To get from River Road to Quiet Valley and a loader, I don't think anybody in here would enjoy that ride. I almost lost my teeth driving up the road to go get Donnie out of the ditch line, because the snow was horrible and you just couldn't see. So it's very difficult to get a loader from one end of this community down up to the northern end of the community. And my feeling is everybody in this community deserves the same attention as somebody down the River Road or somebody up in Quaker Valley. So we have a storm coming through, just like we had that storm in July that we had. There was trees down everywhere. There was rocks and stone everywhere. 1 loader doesn't cut it. Just doesn't do it. And and it makes the guys work harder. And when you got 6 guys in a community this size, you need equipment. So that's my suggestion. It's my experience, my knowledge of the highway, department. So that's my spiel.
And the cost, you said, is $274,900?
Correct.
And Dave, what are your thoughts?
We've consulted with the road crew, and Nick has experience, and I think, we should purchase a new loader.
Okay, and Nick, remind me, the truck situation and the trucks that we've purchased or are looking to purchase.
The trucks that we did purchase, you say? We bought 6 trucks, so there's 5 tandems and 1 triaxle. 2 tandems have been delivered to the upfitter. We have 2 more vehicles coming probably in February, which is the triaxle and a tandem. And then after that, probably 2 months later, will be the other 2 tandems. Those are the 6 vehicles that we purchased.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Did you include the masonry truck in there?
We already own that. I mean, we bought that already. We have that sitting in the shed. We're waiting for the upfitting. That we also bought a mason dump last year. The board approved. It's a Chevy 6500, and that's waiting to get upfitted just because of the supply chain and supply. It's steel, and it's going to take 5 months for that to retro. And we could have used it this weekend because the mason dump was the one that we had a lot of issues with.
Any questions, Jason or Corey?
I was just gonna ask Nick, did you look at any fleet lease options? for
We could
this?
lease it, but after speaking to the auditor, he says, why would you lease it when you have the money? So I'm not an accountant. I'll be the first one to tell you that.
And this price, does this include the 11,000 for the maintenance package?
No, I didn't
that's-
recommend doing that. That's an option. Yeah, because we have 4,500 hours on the other one. It's 10 years old.
Mm.
And that was it's like 3 services.
In our existing loader, as it is right now, runs fine. Is that correct?
The one that we own?
Yeah.
It runs, yeah. It does run, yep. It runs fine. It's doable, but it's rusting, and it needs service. And we don't want to, we're trying to hold on to it through the winter. That's why we rented out the other one, which is a smaller unit, but we could just beggars can't be choosers. We took what we can get, because it's hard to get a loader, just because of the supply chain. So it's operational, yeah, but it needs to be serviced. It's got to be put into service for, it's 4,500 hours in it now, so you want to get it serviced. And if we have another unit that we could use, in the meantime, we don't have to worry about getting it back. Could do it in the summertime.
And it has 4,500 hours on it?
Yeah, I usually go by hours on machinery.
And when would you say the number of hours gets to the point where it's like, all right, we've got, like 300?
Well, it's all relative, because actually trucks and machinery, they want to work. They don't want to sit. So sometimes when you have something sitting, it rots. And you still have to change brakes, you still have to change your oil, you still have to change the filters.
Yeah.
Units want to, equipment like that, they want to work. So it's kind of, it's hard to say. And plus, everything is local driving here. Everything is high. We have hills. It's hard working. So it's hard to say. But if you look at the unit, you would think it has about 8,000 hours on it. Mm-hmm. But it has 4,500. Just because salt is not conducive to a metal. So if you look at it, it's rusting. The harnesses are all rotted out. So it needs a little bit of an overhaul, which will cost money, but it's better to have another unit if you have 2 units and use that as a salt machine in the wintertime and have the other unit going out on the road. And then if there's obviously a big storm or you need a tree moved off the road and it's an emergency, you need the other unit. So,
in your opinion, having 2 loaders is better than one, because you can cover one loader can cover one end of the township.
yeah, we're a big area. We're a big township, as everybody knows. And we have a lot of hills, we have trees. I live off of Saddle Creek, and we had no electricity again this weekend for 12 hours. It's just, trees coming down, and I was out with the guys. We had, like I said, helping guys that were stuck in in the rut, and then there was trees down River Road. We're going down there to get trees. It was just a mixed mash of everything. It's not just snow. You know, roads are blocked. You know, people can't get out. People are stuck. You know, it's a whole, it's an emergency situation. So if we're down on River Road in a snowstorm with a loader to help somebody, which I was up on, Laurel Hill, you just can't scoop right back down. There was 5-6 inches of snow on the ground. It's difficult. And if we have to go up to Quiet Valley, the weather's different up there than it is on River Road.
And just give another quick summary of where this money is coming from, because.
Yeah, sure. We have this fund that we had was a capital reserve fund, which was reserved for equipment. It was reserved for, and that's what we have to use per the auditor. We're supposed to use that money. Once that money is depleted, that account is closed, because it's targeted just for machinery. So we have this other money that's left over in there for machinery. We have an opportunity, as you know, everything goes up, and we have a need, and it'll suffice that need, and we'll get it at the price from 2023, not 2024. You wait to 2025, you're gonna have another increase. You wait to 2026, and then we have a loader that maybe just fails, and then we're out renting them, and you want to rent it you can't rent the loader for a year. The thing's $5,000 a month, and you're in a pickle. And the one that we have right now, usually they have a lease to buy option, but that unit is too small for us. It's a 500 series. We need a 600 series. And for the reasons that I was saying, that we have more new equipment coming in, and that equipment's going to need a high reach. And the unit that we have right now doesn't have a high reach. Both are the one that we own and the one that we're renting.
Okay.
Yes, that's my understanding of that. That money was saved by the previous board. Yeah, I would agree.
So how much is in the capital reserve?
Right now, as of 12/31, there's $253,266.93. That's the exact amount. That's as of, it earns 5% interest, but usually I got this from Diane, and this is the last statement that she had.
So we don't have enough in capital reserves right now for this, do we?
Not in the reserves, no. We don't have the exact amount for that money. I explained that we agreed to sell one truck.
Oh, all right.
Which which the cost of it is $181,000.
Yeah.
At 20, I think the contract was 22. That was the 22 price. It's a 2025 that we're getting at that price, at the 22 price. If you follow what I'm.
Yeah.
So that price right now, that truck right now is probably $10,000 more right now. If you were to go to Mac and say, I want that truck.
Yeah.
And then also we're going to sell the 3 tandems that we're replacing. We're getting 5 more trucks. We're replacing 3.
Yeah.
So those 3 trucks have value. And they're, when I called Peterbilt Mac, they were telling, because one's a Mac, and they would say you'd probably get around 40. But again, I use 30. So it's 90,000 that we'll put back into that account. So we'll still have after the purchase of the loader, we'll still have about $104,000 left.
So I guess my concern, and I'm opening this up for the other supervisors, is that we've got a loader with 4,500 hours, which doesn't seem like a lot to me. I'm not an expert.
No, you're right. It's not a lot for that's 10 years old.
It's the wear and tear.
It's just wear it, yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to weigh is that this is a lot of money. Do we really need 2 loaders at this point? To hit one end of town, to hit the other end of town. I'm kind of open for discussion, because I'm not sold on it yet, but I could be. I just need to be more convinced that this is a valuable purchase.
Well, with the addition of the 2 additional employees, you could be able to have 2 gangs. You have 2 gangs working. I mean, the front end loader is indispensable for doing the work.
Right.
So, I mean, we bought 6 new trucks, and like I said, we're basically going to roll the one over and buy the loader with it. And you're gonna have an aging loader. If that one quits on us, you'll have a new loader to back it up.
Right, right.
So in the previous board for buying 6 trucks, you're selling one of those trucks for a profit, and you're getting the 5 trucks because the money was already provided for in a fund.
Correct.
Yeah, go ahead, Marty.
Previous board, I would say.
Marty Penner, Saddle Creek. To me, this makes absolutely no financial sense whatsoever. This makes absolutely no financial sense whatsoever. To me, this is financially reckless, okay? You have 6 trucks where the utilization will more than pay for itself over the depreciation of the equipment, okay? You're talking about 4,500 hours. The machine is good. We don't do any rebuilds until they're 10,000 hours, and that's typically a low end, okay? Why not send it in, get it rebuilt, number 1, which I don't think it needs to be done, or 2, get it sandblasted and painted. It's a hell of a lot less than 450 hours a year for a piece of equipment that we've had 10 years, only 1 loader, and it's 450 hours. We're gonna have 2 loaders, whether or not they're both going to be at the yard or at opposite ends of the township. What's the other loader going to have? 200 hours? 100 hours? It's absolutely ludicrous that we're going to spend this cost per hour for a new piece of equipment. If at all anything, they should be leased and or rented in seasonal applications, much like the other loader that's down at the municipal building now. This is absolutely the worst discussion in regards to working capital that I've heard in a long time. It just amazes me. The 6 trucks, selling a 6 truck that's going to have absolutely an enormous amount of utilization is key. We don't make profit, so we need to make sure that the utilization is kept up in terms of the use or in terms of the financial depreciation of the equipment. Because we're not making money, we should be utilizing that truck in terms of a cost per hour that equals depreciation in 5, 6 years, if it's a 10-year depreciation. That's where we know the utilization of our equipment is at its highest. If we're not utilizing this equipment, it should be rented or leased. And if they say, well, we don't know if we can get the equipment, then that's poor planning on the road department. You should have your jobs planned out. It's not fly by the seat of your pants, show up, what are we going to do today? It's just the fact that we're having this, which is the reason why last year I shot it down, because it makes absolutely no business sense. And in terms of the working capital of the township, I mean, it's ludicrous in my mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? My thought right now is to table this. I'd like to talk to the road crew. I'd like to talk to other experts. It's just my thought, but I'm open for discussion.
No, actually, we're gonna have more than 6 trucks. We have the masonry truck. The NID is gonna buy us a truck along with the fire truck. So you're gonna have 8 trucks and 8 road personnel. And, so we're gonna have an abundance of trucks. There is a truck in the NID, along with the fire truck. And when the NID's gonna buy the truck, it's gonna be our responsibility for maintenance and service, and they can use it anytime we want, but we will have that truck from the NID eventually. So, those are my thoughts.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, for the record, Mr. Chair, I disagreed with former Supervisor Pinter back then, and I still disagree exactly everything he just said. I disagree. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Rich.
Lingle, 850 Tots Gap Road. Can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually agree with Marty. You guys are going to be spending an enormous amount of money for something that you're not even going to get the break-in of it. You guys are looking at it the standpoint that we need it. Well, we need it what, once during the season? Is it worth that kind of money to spend for? We might need it, and we're not even going to we're not even going to break a piece of equipment in to spend that kind of money. For 10 years old, having 4,500 hours on it, that ain't nothing for a piece of equipment. Nothing at all. Just like I agree with you. Get it sandblasted, repainted, get it fixed a little bit. Use that money, utilize it for something that we actually need, because we don't need another piece of equipment, another loader that's just going to sit there and rot away, that it's not going to be used. 4,500 hours for 10 years is nothing, not for a piece of equipment.
Thank you, Rich. My thoughts are, I'll make a motion that we table this. I want to do, I feel I need to talk to some more experts in this area, and to the road crew, and Nick, to you as well. So my thoughts are to table this, because I guess I just have concerns on my side.
That's
At
fine.
this-
Just want to just let the board aware that this price ends on the 24th of January, so
It's done when?
the price will go up.
At the end of January.
Yeah, January 24th.
Okay.
Just if you don't want to do it, that's fine, but if you do want to do it, we need to do it before then.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're going to spend more money.
Yeah, let's talk more, Nick, and then we can talk about whether we want it on the agenda for the 22nd. That's just my thought at this point. That's my motion.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'm going to second that.
Any other discussion?
I'll be open for getting more advice on this issue.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye?
Aye. Okay, so we'll table that. Ron, next up is liquor license transfer, Penn Jersey Food Mart.
Yes, thank you. Under the liquor license code, if someone wants to transfer a liquor license from one municipality to another, the receiving municipality has to hold a public hearing in order to receive comment and recommendations, if any, from anyone who may be interested with the transfer of the license. In this case, we have received an application for a liquor license transfer from a business known as Cousins Holdings LLC in Bethlehem to Penn Jersey Food Mart here in Mount Bethel at 975 Mount Bethel Highway. And because that is an intermunicipal transfer, it's both a person-to-person transfer and a place-to-place transfer. There has to be a public hearing held by the Township Board of Supervisors. There's no advance time with respect to that hearing, but it has to be held within 45 days of the application, or the application is deemed approved. In this particular case, the application was via a letter from the attorney for the applicant dated December 28. If we use that as the starting date, really the 29th as a starting date, the 45 days would expire on February 11, and that would be just a day shy of the meeting in February which I think is scheduled for February 12th. Now, under the liquor code, the township can ask for an extension not to exceed 60 days, and if that would be the case, then the extension would go through February 26th, which would involve or encompass the first meeting date in February. And I was checking earlier, just give me a moment. And that, in fact, this 26th would be right on target as the fourth meeting date in February. So I'm suggesting that in this particular matter that there be a public hearing scheduled. If the board wants to do it for February 11, they certainly can, because then we would not need an extension. If they want to go to February 26, we would request the extension. And likewise, it could be set up for 2 weeks from now if that's what they would like to do. And I would just make sure I get the ad out as soon as possible so that the hearing is being held. And at the time of that hearing, it's really no magic. The individual indicates what the license is and whether or not there's anything that's a problem with respect to the license that affects the welfare, peace, morals, and health of the township. Again, this is an old law that comes over from when liquor and use of alcohol was seen as somewhat perhaps a little dicey, but it continues to be in the liquor code and we have to deal with it in that fashion. So I'm asking that the board schedule a hearing date if it's going to be beyond February 11. In fact, I think it has to be, because I think it's February 12, right?
Right,
So
right.
I would say then if it's going to be in February, that the board vote to ask for the 60 days, which pushes the matter to February 26, the deadline, and then select a date in February that can be advertised for this public hearing. If you want to do it for the 22nd of this month, you can do that too.
And would you be the person to ask for the extension?
Yeah, I would ask for the extension, and the township and the residents should know that I also asked for $3,000 when they file the application, because there will be advertising that has to be in the newspaper. There will be time and money spent in getting this matter together and getting an ordinance prepared. So that's not done on the township's tab. I requested a $3,000 deposit from the applicant for that. It may be a bit high, I'm not sure, but I'd rather have more money in the till and return anything unused than the other way around. So I would make that request if, in fact, the board wants to do that. I would just ask for a hearing date also so that I know how to advertise.
Any thoughts?
Well, the sooner the better, then we can get it resolved. And
So we can either do it on the 22nd. We can either do it on the 22nd, or the 22nd agenda's getting kind of big. I would say maybe put it on for the 12th, have Ron ask for the extension. But that's my thought, is put it
then I'll
on.
make a motion we do it on the 12th, provided that we get the extension.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0, thank you. And, so we're going to put it on for the 12th.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. And one other thing, I just checked my statute book as we were as you were doing something else, and the vacancy board with respect to the supervisor appointment only has 15 days. You have 30, but the vacancy board only has 15.
Okay. Next up is Township Newsletter. David?
Yes, we used to have 2 township newsletters. I'm thinking of reducing it to 1, because Cindy has a hard time getting stuff for the newsletter. And I think if we put the 1 newsletter out that has all the pertinent information we need in the township, members of the committees, the dates and everything else, and that should be enough. So I'd like to know if I need a motion to reduce our township newsletter from 2 publications to 1.
And when would you want it to come out, David?
I'd probably say maybe early spring, because then that way, if we can incorporate things, if anybody wants to put anything in it, and by that time, we can maybe, hopefully, we'll have all our members lined up that we need for all our openings.
Any thoughts, Jason or Corey?
No, and we can do updates on the township page, put something in there maybe.
Right. And Cindy, I guess one of the reasons for this is just the difficulty of getting people to write articles.
She begs and pleads, and she doesn't get them into the last second sometimes.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm okay with just doing a spring newsletter, and then let's get feedback from the people. If the people say, hey, I like your newsletter, I like to receive it in the spring and the winter, we could always bring it back. But,
Oh, yeah, you can always bring it back. I mean,
yeah. Okay. David, did you make a motion?
I made a motion, we reduce our
Oh, and Corey
newsletter from from 2 to 1.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Okay, 4-0. Next up is live streaming meetings. I'm going to make a motion that we table this. I know I wanted a discussion about this, but I think it's premature at this point, so I'll make a motion that we table this.
Now, second.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next up is Manager Graziano Agreement. This is the benefits agreement that we are negotiating with our township manager. This was drafted by our solicitor, Ron Karasak. Ron, you want to kind of just explain what entails this benefits agreement?
Yes, under the statute, the township can enter into an agreement with the township manager as to various benefits, et cetera. It is it's not an at-will or a non-at-will contract. The township manager continues to remain an at-will employee and serves at the pleasure of the board, just like I do or the engineer does. However, this outlines his benefits that he would get with respect to this particular matter. Now, I've prepared an agreement. I did this over the weekend. I've sent it to the Township Board of Supervisors. They may not have had enough time to digest it. That's up to them, but I generally attempted to follow the information that was given to me by Township Manager Graziano with respect to his various benefits, and I've also added additional information in there that I know from my experience as being a solicitor as to the fact of what the term of the agreement might be and whether there is provisions for resignation and professional dues and training and those kinds of things. So, and speaking with the manager, I believe perhaps it was on Friday before the weekend got here when I did this, apparently there might have been one either inadvertent error or some mistake with respect to one particular item. I'm going to refer to or defer to the manager in that regard. If in fact there is something that is incorrect, it should be corrected this evening. And then whether or not the supervisors want to look at this and formally approve it as of the 22nd, that's fine, because I'm preparing the document that it's retroactive as of January 2nd when Mr. Graziano was duly appointed.
That discrepancy was my fault. I read from the wrong thing. I believe it was the sick days and the vacation days that had to be changed.
It's never
That's
your
correct.
fault. You blame the lawyer anytime something goes wrong.
No problem there. So I believe it was 5, 6 day, 11, what was it, 5, vacation, 11 sick?
Yeah, you instructed me to go by the non-union contract that the township has in place. So originally I asked for 5 and 5, but it's 11 vacation days and 6 PL days. That was the correct amount. But I think when you read it, we had different documents than you did. So in essence, I don't think it was your fault. It was just an error. You had 5 and 5, but it was really 11 vacations and 6 PL days.
So with that specific change, I see nothing, everything else in the contract is pretty well we had stipulated.
Again, as long as the board is okay with it, I do have to put in Mr. Graziano's middle initial and his address, and also refer to the township ordinance that adopted a township manager, which was a long time ago. I just got the paperwork today from Cindy, and back in 1983 and or 84, the ordinance was adopted to permit a township manager. So I need to put that information in the first page, but other than that, it's ready to go if the board believes that they've had enough time to digest it.
None of those changes you just mentioned and the one change I had just mentioned, I don't see anything wrong with not passing the contract tonight.
Do you want to make a motion then to?
I'll make that motion that we issue this contract with the changes that were mentioned for the sick and vacation days and the information that Mr. Karasek needed to finish the contract.
Okay, I'll second it. And then so we're going to send this to Nick. Nick, of course, can obviously negotiate terms or anything. I don't know if he's going to negotiate or he's like, this is fine. as
Well,
is.
I'm not sure either. Obviously, he had sent me a letter with the benefits that he understood were that he was to which he would be entitled. So you may want to vote on the motion to the effect that, assuming that the agreement or the agreement not only has the changes I've suggested, but meets with Mr. Graziano's approval, then the agreement is approved. Because if you're going to put him in the mix to do further negotiation, then you've got to make that part of the motion in some fashion.
Oh, you can make those changes and submit it for his review, and then maybe the next meeting, if we have to, we can vote on it and
That may be better. This way, then, he has an opportunity to also look at this. You, as the board, also have an opportunity to look at this for another couple of weeks. The agreement's not very long. It's only 4 or 5 pages. And then on the 22nd, you can vote. So you might, perhaps, withdrawing your motion and tabling it might make better financial sense. That's your call.
as per our solicitor's advice, I'll do that. Withdraw the motion and table it until the next meeting, so all parties can look at it and agree on it.
Okay, I'll second that. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So, but in the meantime, you'll send this over to Nick so he can look at it.
Yeah, I'll make those changes tomorrow or the next day, send it over to our manager, also give a copy to our township secretary so she has it in hand and ready to go, assuming there's no other changes to be made.
Okay, thanks. Okay, moving on to Part 8, we have tabled items. The first up, we have appoint alternate township planning commission solicitor.
May I comment on that for a moment, Mr. Chair?
Of course, yeah.
The board appointed attorney, I'm okay. Spadoni, I was going to say Spaziani, sorry, Nick, or I know you've been gone for a while, but Attorney Spadoni as the alternate township solicitor. I think that's an excellent choice. He's been around as long as I've been. He's done a lot of municipal work, and he is someone with whom I can work if we need to. I don't see any reason to pick yet a third person to be an alternate solicitor to the PC, just as I'm the solicitor to both the PC and the board. I think Attorney Spadoni can easily be the solicitor to the commission and to the alternate solicitor to the commission and to the board. That's your call.
Perhaps we could have either Mr. Graziano or Cindy send an email to him to see if he'd be interested.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's the first thing to assume he's interested. He may not be. Okay.
Okay, so Cindy, you'll do that, and then let's put this on for the 22nd, please. Next up, we have appoint Economic Development Committee member. I did speak to Joe Torrey, and Joe's right there, expressed interest in being on the Economic Development Committee. I've known George or Joe for a few years, and we've always had good conversations, and I know you care about Upper Mount Bethel Township. So, I'd like to make that motion and I don't think we had anyone else who expressed interest. So I'd like to go ahead and make the motion that we appoint Joe Torrey as a member for the Economic Development Committee.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Joe, you're on. Thank you for willing to do this. And then next up, we have appoint alternate member to the Friends of Lake Mincy. We have one letter of interest from Tom Gilmore.
Dave, you skip, that's for 3.
What's that?
I think that's for 3, isn't it?
Do we have 3?
No, I think it's for number 3.
Number 3, yeah, number 3. We're on number 3.
Yeah.
Part 8, number 3.
Did I call the wrong number? Sorry. Number 3, yeah. So Tom submitted a letter. He is interested in the position to be a member of the Friends of Lake Mincy.
And then I'll make a motion, we appoint Tom Gilmore as a member of the Friends of Lake Mincy.
Okay, I'll second it. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Next up is appoint alternate zoning official codes officer.
No, you forgot number 4.
Am I off here or something?
Yeah. You have to do alternate.
Number 4. Part 8, number 4.
Oh, see this, this has changed for me, sorry. Thank you. So, okay, so now we're on number 5, right?
No, number 4.
Oh, it's been a long day. We'll try that again. Number 4 is appoint alternate member to Friends of Lake Mincy.
I don't believe we had any letter of interest for that, so maybe we should just table that until we just put the word out.
Yeah, if anybody's interested in being an alternate member to the Friends of Lake Mincy, just submit an email or a letter of interest to our Township Secretary, Cindy Beck. Okay, number 5 is appoint alternate zoning official codes officer. Have we received any letters of interest? No.
Then I'll make a motion, we table that and put the word out and perhaps get somebody who's interested.
Okay, I'll second it. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
And then the last one is set pay for zoning hearing board solicitor. What's that?
The zoning hearing board solicitor has not been appointed yet. They'll do that tomorrow night at their reorganization.
Okay. So I'll make a motion, we table that.
Just so the board is aware, the zoning hearing board appoints its own solicitor.
Yeah.
But the township board of supervisors yourself set the pay.
Yeah.
So you could still set the pay now if you wish to, but that's your call. Just so you understand, they pick the solicitor, but you pay them.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to have their reorg meeting, and if they're going to appoint a solicitor, I think at the meeting, they should be able to stipulate what they're going to pay them.
Again, that's your call. You can set pay and say, same as my rate or some other rate. That's up to the board, but you will set that pay of that individual, whoever it might be.
I think we wait on it, because it's your call. I mean, I'm open to discussion, but throwing the first number out there, I'd rather see who's appointed and then see.
In all fairness to those who they appoint, once again, I think you would like to know what you're going to be working for.
Right. But I mean, I'm open for discussion, so.
I thought we had set that because in some of the letters of interest we got, they agreed to the rate that we had set.
Okay.
I was under the impression that we had already set the pay scale for the zoning hearing board solicitor.
Right. What was our pay set at last year? Do we know?
The pay was the same as the one that I get, which is $135 an hour.
So what are your thoughts, David?
Well, like I said, you've already had a couple letters of interest, and they had already pointed out that they would accept that rate.
Okay. I mean, if you want to go ahead and make that motion. feel
I'll make the
free.
motion, it's $135 an hour.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, pay has been set for zoning hearing board solicitor. Part 9 is public comment. This part on your public comments can be open to anything. So at this time, does anybody wish to make a public comment? Ma'am, Ms. Horn, why don't you come up first, and then Rich, you're next.
Good evening, supervisors, and good evening to the public. My name is Carrie Horn.
And I'll just ask you, Carrie, if you could just speak into the mic, hold the mic
Okay.
closer.
I've lived, and Happy New Year to everybody, a healthy Happy New Year 2024. I've lived at 980 Lake Missy Drive since 1986. And I paid all my bills and my taxes accordingly and paid them on time. I received a garbage tax this past year that increased, more than doubled. And when I did turn the age of 65, I was told my garbage for the year is $180 until I leave the earth. And now I'm paying $495.25 for a yearly garbage tax that increased over the double. I live in a home by myself. I'm single. My garbage is so little each week that I can put a can out once a month instead of that. But I put it out twice a month, which means I put my garbage cans out 26 weeks out of 52, which means I'm paying a large price for families that have multiple heads in the families, or homes that have even more than one family in a home. I go up the streets and see garbage galore, pound-wise, a lot more than I have. And I think it's unjust the way I'm paying my garbage, since I am a 74-year-old woman, being 75 this year, and I am eligible for my senior citizen, that you had given me. And I think this is outlandish that in 6 months, I had to pay a payment for 6 months, okay, paid it all. And now I don't know what's going to happen this year. Now, when I was working, my income was coming in checks that were great. But now, since I have been retired, my income is much lower. So going from a lower income to a much higher garbage tax really throws me behind in everything. And so I'm here standing for the fact that according to the homes that I go past and the garbages that I see, and what I see compared to what I put out, we should not all be paying the same exact price for a garbage pickup, especially since those arms on those trucks don't come to my house no more than every other week. So I'm just here to ask for an adjustment for my garbage because of being a single household person that doesn't make a whole lot of food, doesn't have a whole lot of garbage at all to put out. And I don't understand why I have to pay the same price that people have 10 people in the family and have tons of garbage and tons of cans, and they just pay the same price I do. I think it's unfair. So I would like to ask for an adjustment on my garbage tax, living a single household at the age of 75 this year, and dragging those cans out by myself. And I think it's publicly important for me to state this because I'm, like I said, a low-income person now. I'm not making high income. Like, you're going to pay somebody $135 an hour. Well, I'd like to get that. $135 an hour, no problem at all. But I'm not. So anyway, that's what my statement is about my garbage tax being brought to Upper Mount Bethel Township, being a complete taxpayer and taking care of my property that doesn't look like properties I go past and have cars and all kinds of junk in front of them that they don't take care of and don't supervise them. Mine is well-kept, paid everything in my taxes, have never gone wrong, okay? So that's what I'm here for today, hoping to have an adjustment on my garbage tax and not pay the same price as a family of 10 and 12 and 2 people in one home that are paying the same price, okay? I think this is ludicrous that I have to pay this. And again, I can put my garbage cans out once a month, 12 months out of the year. So why should I pay this price for a truck to come and stop in front of my house 26 times compared to 52 times of other homes, or 12? So that's what I'm here for.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Horn.
And again, thank you for listening to me. I'm a resident here, like I said, for a long time, 38 years. I love Upper Bethel Township, and I kept it as healthy and as clean as I could possibly. No pesticides, no anything, chemicals on my lawn, nothing that gives you cancer, nothing like that. Never did anything to the environment to set fires, outside fires, this fires, to put the carbon monoxide into the air. Never did that, okay? I live in a healthy environment with my home, and my neighbors, I keep them healthy too by living that lifestyle. So yes, this is what I'm here for today, because I felt that I was fairly unjustified by going from $180 to over $495 tax when I don't even put anything out compared to all the other neighbors, period. I'm sure that you know what your homes put out, whoever lives in your homes, how many people live in your homes, okay? So anyway, I'd like to have some adjustment done for us people who are older like us that can't afford to pay this price as we have a low income now coming in.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
So
Horn.
anyway, I don't know how to end it, but I can only say thank you for listening to me, and I really love my Upper Bethel Township, and you do a great job with the roads. Understandably, a good job. Thank you.
Thank you. So Nick, you want to just give an update of where we're at with the garbage contract?
Sure. And Mrs. Warren, I feel your pain. I get phone calls every day. Cindy gets phone calls every day about garbage. It's an ongoing thing since this was implemented. And I literally, just a short story, literally had a woman on Potomac crying to me about the garbage. And we're all passionate people. And why are people crying about garbage? And you feel the pain. I addressed it, and we took care of the situation to help her. She's single, living at home by herself, and she had a tenant, and the tenant was a bad tenant. And had to be evicted, and a grown woman should be crying about garbage. I'm sorry. I mean, we all have mothers, we have daughters, whatever. It's affecting us all. So just to let you know that I met with the representative for Waste Management. I met him at a political event, and I beelined to him. And we talked. I had a long conversation. And I told him, I said that this isn't working for Upper Mount Bethel. I know we have a 3-year contract, and I said, Waste Management, we're not mad at Waste Management. We have an excellent, I call him sanitation engineer, Billy, who does a great job in the community. He helps us. He works with Cindy. He comes in every day, and we try to work with people that like you and other people, because you're not alone. I just want to let you know you're not alone. There's other people that have been complaining, and every day I get those calls. And I spoke with Ron. His name is Ron, and you guys all met him. He came up here and spoke about the dumpsters and the toters and all of that, and we started doing this. And when I came back from that meeting, I spoke to Cindy about it, and I said, we have to do something. I says, I think we can make a change. And I brought it up to Chairman Birmingham, and he said, we need to set up a meeting. And I can't promise anything because I can't speak for Waste Management. I know what we have to do, and I will do my 100%, 110% to try to help everybody in the community. And speaking for myself, I'm fine with it because it works for my family, but it doesn't work for you. It doesn't work for Cindy. It doesn't work for other people. Everybody has different reasons, different options, different families. Everybody is different. Everybody has something going on. Everybody's a book. Everybody has a story, right? And we're listening to you. We are. Cindy and I, every day we listen to you. And we're trying to do our best to change this and help everybody, not just you, but everybody in the community, other seniors. Get another seniors break. Get smaller toters. An option with just a bag. So it's a ticket to a bag. So if you want to put a bag out, you use one bag a month, you buy a ticket and you pay for it. And you put it on that ticket and the driver knows that he could pick that up. And once a week, as everybody knows, on Fridays, on bulk day, there's two drivers. There's two people on the truck. So it can work. All right? So then they're not increasing their labor, but they're also, how it works with Waste Management is their tonnage. They go by a tipping fee. They know exactly how much they have to pay to tip, even though they're the same company. They're paying themselves, but that's how it's based on. It's based on tonnage and obviously labor, and and overhead. But why should you have one bag a month pay the same as I'm paying when I have a garbage every week, and even though it's my wife and I only, but I'm comfortable with it. But it works for me. But like I said, it doesn't work for everybody. But so, long story short, I called Ron. Today was just a crazy day because of the storm, and he was on my priority to call back because he had a meeting. He told me he has a meeting with his upper echelon and to speak with them. And he agrees with me because the negotiations that were done were, they weren't done right. Okay, I'm not going to get into the past. Let's move forward. I'm probably a positive guy. I don't like what was done in the past was wrong. We got to move forward. We are moving forward. And Supervisor Birmingham and I are going to have a meeting with Waste Management. He wanted to have a meeting first with his upper echelon and figure out what they can do and see if we can adjust. Because I told him, I said, I realize we have a contract, and we're not here to break a contract, but we're here to adjust a contract. And he asked me how many seniors were in this community. I don't have the exact figure, and I said I do like to see them get a decrease in theirs, because if they're not using a lot, it's not costing you anymore, meaning Waste Management. And he agreed, but I don't want to paint rainbows for everybody, but I just want to let you know I work my damnedest to make this work. And I know John is committed to doing this too, because he knows, everyone thinks what's going on in the community and the township. There's just 3 of us that work there, and we all work together as a team, but we see and hear and all the people and the complaints, and they're all similar. So don't think you're alone. What you said there is a lot of hearts and minds in this community. You're not alone. There's hundreds of people that are feeling that pain. So, and we hear you, and we'll do our best to change it. I just spoke with Berkheimer this morning, and I told him to hold the bill until we finish talking to Waste Management, because we want to give everybody 12 months to pay. Like last time, it was short, and understand it so we could spread it out. But I told him until I call him back to hold the bill, so that, you won't see the trash bill in the next few weeks. So, but we're going to see what happens with the negotiations, and we'll obviously fill you in once we get set with Waste Management. We sit down with them, but all the things that I said, he agreed that there was. I don't want to say too much, but we hear you, not just you, but we hear a lot of people. So don't feel like you're alone. What you did was very honorable.
Okay, thanks for the update, Nick. So we'll keep you informed on our progress with that, but appreciate, Nick, you looking into this for us.
Sure.
Rich?
Kingle. You guys discussed Nick's contract and everything, but you didn't give any kind of guidelines on what he's allowed to do, what he's not allowed to do, what his spending budget is, anything like that. Don't you think that should be discussed, since of the problems that we had with the last previous of $10,000 he could just spend whenever?
Yeah, it's a good point.
I think there should be some kind of guidelines made up that, you know, us taxpayers should be, you know, protected, that, you know, we're not buying cameras for frivolous reasons, and not buying containers to put outside of the township building because we just feel like doing it. Should be guidelines. That's all.
Thank you, Rich. So when you guys look at the agreement, think about whether you want to talk about guidelines that the township manager has to follow, whether the discretionary budget per month should change. Think about those issues as well. Yes, Bill.
Good evening, Bill Hall, Jacoby Run Road, Upper Mount Bethel. So I just had a question. I'm on the Economic Development Committee and have been for 6 years, as you all know, just reappointed. When we've had openings in the past, those that are interested submit their credentials, their request, and so on through Cindy. You all see them, but we've seen them as a committee, meet with them, discuss their backgrounds, and then submit to the supervisors who we believe would be the best choice. We didn't know, no disrespect to you, sir, but we didn't know anything about this or review his credentials or even have a point where we could discuss these things with him.
Yeah, I think I might have jumped the gun on it. I know the position's been open for what,
Yeah.
like 2 years or something?
Yeah, off and on. There's some
Yeah.
people were there and left.
So, yeah, I mean, you can meet with Joe and come
Okay.
back to us and let us know what you think. I just
Great.
put him on there because, you know, we finally got someone.
Yep.
But
I'll
if-
talk with Scott, our chairman, and we'll arrange time to meet with you.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks, Bill.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Anybody else, public comment? Yes, Ron.
Ron Angle, $1 Million Highway, Mount Bethel, United States of America, state of Pennsylvania. I noticed you're not doing these interviews. You said that there was going to be open and transparent government, but I'm not seeing it. This was another example right here. It appears to me, from what I can see, being somewhat of a student of government, you're pretty much creating the government you want to have, not the government you really think the people want to have, which is what you claim. And I'll give you a good example of that. Just recently, there was a letter sent to 2 members of the Board of Supervisors from the solicitor to the concerned citizens, or the attorney representative, whichever you might call it, seeking positions in the township. And it's kind of interesting to me, because what I am seeing here is that instead of delivering what you said you were going to deliver to the people and concerned citizens, you're doing kind of just the opposite. Maybe you think you're doing that, but to the whole township, you're really creating your own little government. And again, being a student of government, I guess, for a good many years, democracies are an interesting thing. If you study history, democracies were an infant here in the United States of America compared to the dynasties and the other things of the world. But in a democracy, you would have representative by the people, and the people would have a right to be representative. And I will say this much, you're very liberal now in allowing people to speak, and I appreciate that. That's a very good idea. But behind the scenes, what I'm seeing is you're kind of stacking the deck with, quote unquote, your people, whether it be a solicitor. And you can't tell me there isn't some conflict of interest when you're promoting the solicitor and you're getting a letter to the supervisors that said, "Dear John and Dave, I'm interested in being the solicitor to the zoning hearing board." Now again, interviews. You didn't interview the candidates for the zoning hearing board, did you? No, because you knew who you wanted to put on the zoning hearing board, okay? And I'm noticing that here too with what you're doing. Quite frankly, what you're doing is you're creating your own little government. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of Jim Jones with the Kool-Aid. The people over here, yeah, you can laugh all you want, Dave. You're pretty good at that laughter, okay? But the people over here, you said that you were going to get a government that would represent the concerned citizens, because there was a lot of concerned citizens, and I understand that. They were concerned. So I guess to get to my bottom question, Mr. Friedman, if you're not going to be laughing the whole night, is what is your mission, what is your goals, and what is your outlook on the township and what you're going to do for the people who elected all of you to office? Let's be quite frank, the concerned citizens became very powerful. They got you two elected on both tickets. All due respect, they got you two elected on both tickets. You can call it what you want, but I've rarely ever seen that in government, but okay, so it was. It's democracy, you can do that. So what are you going to do for these people, the concerned citizen people, because you are going to, quote unquote, stop River Point, or whatever you were going to do to River Point? That seemed to be the issue. So I would ask you, Mr. Chairman, what is it you're going to do for the concerned citizens about River Point?
It's not what I'm going to do for the concerned citizens. It's for what am I going to do for the people of Upper Mount Bethel? Because there's more than just the concerned citizens. Yes,
were you a member of the concerned citizens?
No.
You weren't. Mr.
No.
Friedman, were you a member? None of you were concerned citizens.
Yes, I was, but
Oh, you were. Okay, John. What?
You let
John
me
was
finish?
behind the scenes pulling the puppet string. Okay, go
I
ahead.
was. I disassociated myself from them.
You were a member.
Yes, I was.
Yeah. Okay. And you did get a letter from the solicitor or the attorney who represented concerned citizens asking you to keep him in mind for the solicitorship on the zoning hearing board.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, is this what you really do, truly believe open government really is? I don't believe it is. Okay. But again, you got your followers. But the last thing I'd like to say is I'm sure the new people that are on here at this time realize that there's more to Upper Mount Bethel Township government than River Point and concerned citizens. There's a lot of roads, there's a lot of stuff ahead of you, and a lot of things that need to be done. And whether you liked it or not, the previous chairman of the board did have vast knowledge in finances. He really did. And those trucks were paid for well in advance. The money sat in an account, and those trucks were bought, okay? I got to respect the man. He's very brilliant when it comes to finances. You don't replace people like that very often. And I'm not seeing up front that type of replacement. And the last thing I would simply like to say is, on Robert's rules, I'd have to give you an F. You really haven't accomplished anything that Robert's rules said you're supposed to do. You can't make a motion, then withdraw because somebody said something else. You can't take a vote without asking, is there any nays, even though you think you have everything sewed up, and they're all yays. That is what Robert's rules is somewhat about. Very complicated, but you haven't done well on Robert's rules. Thank you for the opportunity to address you.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, Mark.
Mark Metzger, 114 Scenic Court. To the victor go the spoils. Political appointees, as an American, is apple pie, and since the first Congress, the winning parties always got to appoint people to positions that they wanted. That is the power of being a winner in an election. I want to talk to you about an idea that was raised at the last meeting about trying to get the most out of RPL. One of the biggest things that we had to leverage against RPL was that text amendment. When that text amendment was passed, we lost our ability to leverage RPL's position. At the time that happened, the entire community was against that text amendment, yet when it was passed, there was a guy out there handing out cigars who was very happy. And why shouldn't he be? Because there was a real estate deal in the offing, and I'm sure that the passage of that amendment certainly helped him to cement the profitability of that deal. So why should somebody who basically betrayed the community like that be afforded any position in government? So next, to get the biggest leverage against the developer, the previous board basically placated everything that the man wanted. But what did they get? I didn't think that they got much, if anything, so that their review of this was very short-sighted in terms of the cost of this thing could be immense. It's probably going to be a $2 billion deal if it's finished and gets to be completed. Yet, what are we going to invest in? None of these guys, if they're such financial geniuses, asked the developer for a financial plan. We don't know what it's going to cost. We don't know what he's going to commit. We don't know what public monies would be involved. We have no idea, and no one ever asked. We approved all kinds of plans here, but no one ever asked. This development project, it could be potentially very successful, but it has the potential for also taking the town into bankruptcy. And that's why we got to be very careful about what we do. Mr. Pector's got loans that are due now. He just sold $73 million worth of property. He's under lawsuit continually. The man has got a really poor history and track record when it comes to his finances. We got to be careful, John, and I don't think we should approve anything else until we see what the financial plans look like. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else public comment? Yeah, Russell.
Russell Horn, Centerville Drive. I just want to know the Horn, H-O-R-N, the candidates for supervisor, are they going to be publicly interviewed or privately?
What are the requirements, Ron?
There really are no requirements specified in the code. That's your call. I mean, it's a matter of personnel, so if you're going to be asking sensitive personal questions, I just don't think that should be in public. However, if you're going to ask name, age, what do you plan to do, what is your vision for the township, things like that, I don't see where that necessarily would be improper if it's done in public. It's just a matter of whether or not the township believes that those should be public matters as opposed to private matters. But again, sensitive family matters and things like that, I would not suggest you do that in public.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, in all fairness, I just wanted to ask. I mean, I was, for zoning hearing board, I was publicly interviewed, so I just wanted to, in all fairness,
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's all.
Thank you. Yep. And we are under the gun right now with appointing a supervisor. So we put it on for the 22nd, right? Okay. Yeah, whether we can do it publicly before the 22nd, I don't know, but let me have more of a think about that. Anyone else public comment? Yeah, Marty.
Marty Pinner, Lindsay Lane, Saddle Creek, Mount Bethel. I wasn't going to make a comment tonight. I was looking to make a comment at the first meeting, but after hearing some of the comments that were just up here, I feel like I need to make a comment, and as a voice to the entire board. I understand you're eager to make your mark, but your naivety, inexperience, and true understanding of leadership are glaring. You think you know better than previous boards. You've barely begun to scratch the surface of the complex issues facing the township. Your overconfidence will harm us all unless you show some humility. The township has skeletons you can't imagine. Decades of financial mismanagement that include tax inequities. None of you have ever handled or managed a project such as River Point. In fact, it's likely no one in this audience has ever done it. Well over the course of my 27 years in finance, I've been project and financial lead in well over $54 billion in operational development and $200 billion in capital development. It's no easy task. There is one thing I can positively tell you, is that this board is now financially ignorant and inept. You all claim to oppose River Point because it doesn't serve residents, but your resistance reveals your simplistic understanding of what residents truly need. We require more than just listening to demands at town halls Real leadership requires backbone to make unpopular decisions and compromises that balance interests. This is where I believe you're lacking. If you block River Point, I guarantee the consequences will be dire for this township. Our emergency services are hanging by a thread already. Where will you find the millions needed to fund these services and equipment to protect us? Grants? Loans? Asking other politicians for money? Ultimately, you will be forced to raise taxes. This development is a lifeline we cannot afford to lose. I understand the urge to start fresh, but progress depends on building on past efforts, not discarding them. You would be wise to think strategically, which I believe this board does not have the capacity to do. Otherwise, you will tear down hard-won gains and put the township at risk once more. Tread carefully. You're not as wise as you all think. John, to answer the questions in your op-ed from this past week, the NIT agreement. It's been on the township's website for over 14 months. Not only did you have access, but so did every resident. It's pretty damn transparent. The $300,000 lost in lost revenue comes from a company that was ready to build immediately. If you understood the law, you would know that the township would have received this money as soon as the building permit was issued. But because of the delays that were caused by the lead of Charlie Cole, the semiconductor chip manufacturing company decided to choose another location. Again, impacting the township financially. My question to you is, why would the developer want to work with any of you? All of you have been extremely vocal in not wanting this development. One of you violated state ethics standards. One of you is a former ringleader of a Facebook group where hate speech, defamation, and misinformation are a prerequisite for membership, and where transparency is as opaque as mud. Lastly, one of you is an ego-driven politician who's fueled by likes on Facebook. I no longer need to be silent about how I personally feel about anything, as I'm not behind that table. In the coming days, we're going to find out how transparent this board really is with my first right to know request. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Yeah, Charlie.
I'd like to address the last comments from Martin. Martin is a business leader. He looks at things from the point of view of the profit for a company. Somewhere in his training and his ethics, he missed true cost-benefit ratios. He missed the cost to environmental degradation, personal input that you have of health, safety, and welfare. All those things need to be factored in. It's not just the dollar profit for a company at the end of it. And to say that you don't understand economics and what the township needs in terms of dollars is way misleading.
Thank you, Charlie. Anyone else, public comment? Okay, I think that's it. We're now going into executive session. We have to talk about a legal
Yes,
case.
when you go in executive session, we need to tell the public what we're going in for, and two of them deal with litigation, one dealing with an unfair labor practice charge, the other dealing with a lawsuit involving Mr. Metzger and Community Park Foundation, and the other is a legal dispute with respect to a piece of equipment for the road crew.
And I also like to bring up one personnel decision too.
Okay, well, there you go. Okay.
Okay, we'll return. Thank you, guys. Here we go. Check.
Michigan's up 8.
Michigan is up 8. There's your up. That's what we were doing in executive session. We were watching the game. Let me know when you're good, Cindy. We're good? Okay. Okay, we'll reconvene this meeting. So we went into executive session. We talked about some personnel issues and some legal, some lawsuits, ongoing lawsuits. The issue with personnel is that Lynn, who is our road foreman, would like to attend an emergency management course, which is being offered at PSATs. This was brought up to us. I think he's going for 1 day only.
I believe it's just 1 day only. For one course.
Yes, for one course. And the question was whether the board would approve that. So that was discussed in executive session. Does anyone else want to add to that?
No, and I'll make the motion that we allow Lynn Mansley to attend the PSAS convention, and he get reimbursed for any expenses that he may incur.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion?
And just so we're clear, when we say expenses, that would be meals and mileage, correct?
Correct, yes, correct.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Next issues were some legal issues. So Ron, I'll pass it over.
One we discussed was an unfair labor practice that had been filed against the township probably a year or so ago now, and the matter has been tentatively resolved through a settlement whereby the former police officer, Dennis Smith, will receive a cash payment of $3,500, be entitled to vest his benefits as of August 1, 2014, and in consideration for that, he will resign any position with the township and will no longer be a police officer in any fashion. So that was discussed. I'm not certain if, in fact, there is anyone to make a motion to approve that settlement.
I'll make a motion to approve those terms.
Okay, I'll second it. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All right, the other matter dealt with a lawsuit that was filed by the township against Mr. Metzger and the Upper Mount Bethel Community Park Foundation. There was discussion as to whether or not this board wants to proceed with that action or wants to withdraw that action, and that is what that's what was discussed. Whether or not there's a motion to be made will be left to the board.
Any discussion?
I'll make a motion we withdraw the suit concerning Mr. Metzger and the Park Foundation.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.